Radio Bypass, bringing you rock and roll music that deserves to be heard. Discover new bands. Here's some old favorites on Radio Bypass.
Hey, rockers, we are pleased to bring back a guest from the past that's been on once before. Last time just over the phone. This time we've got him here in person with us via the miracles of Zoom. This is Dale Lytle from the band Angelus. Dale, welcome back to Radio Bypass.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Thank you. So glad you could be here, and so glad to see all the things that have been going on since last we spoke. When you were with us the last time, Rockin' Like An Outlaw was kind of what was the new thing, and that album was doing very well for you, which was just wonderful. So glad to see that. And now in this year, 2023, you've been releasing some singles. Most recently, we played one of the new ones just this past week, but you've released a few this year. But most recently was Raising Hell on the Sunset Strip. So catch up with us. What all's going on? You got these singles coming out. Is there an album on the way?
Yeah, there is. We're not sure if we're going to call it Crimes of Insanity or what. Just finishing up lyrics to another brand new song that I was going to go on last Wednesday, but it just wasn't quite there, and I wanted it to be right. And it's got quite a few parts to it. It's a little bit more intricate, and it's a little bit harder, if you will. And I just had a little bit of a time trying to figure out a concept to go with. And I finally got it, and finally got the lyrics, and just finished it up actually yesterday. And I'm not sure. I think it's going to be called Madness, Connie.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and there's a couple names we might go with. There's quite a few lyrics, you know. It's about the wars that are going on in a way, but it's about good and evil and good, and just all that kind of that stuff that's happening right now.
Sure.
And it just it's hard not to think about it, and I think that it kind of reflects that a lot in this song, the new one that you haven't heard yet. It'll be out probably in about 3 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice. I look forward to hearing it. And
then, we just got done releasing Crimes of Insanity, Just Do It, Raising Hell on the Sunset Strip, which we're doing a documentary to as we speak. It's about halfway done, maybe a little more. My wife does it, Connie, and it's got quite a few special guests and really cool people that are going to appear in the documentary, and it's just about from the 80s on, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's just I do a lot of the talking, driving, sitting either here or behind the bus, the tour RV, you know. I like to drive and talk, you know. It's like one of those things. It's therapeutic for me.
Sure.
So it's like my space where it's my comfort zone, if you will.
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
That'll be exciting. Any rough timeline of when that might be completed?
January, I'd say late January, maybe sooner. I mean, she's coming along pretty good. She's learning a lot of the things, like putting the names underneath the people, and like we have Ron Bushy from the Iron Butterfly holding one of our albums, and she's got the album and a picture of him holding, you know, and as I talk about Ron Bushy and my time that I got to spend with him, and I actually played Inagata DeVita at Devonshire Downs Outdoor Stadium in Northridge, California, and it was really cool, you know, to get to play Inagata DeVita with Ron. Actually, we did it right before Angelus came on stage, so I actually changed my clothes And then we did In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. He didn't really want to do it, but he had promised me that he would.
Right.
And it was like 6,000 people there. It was a pretty cool time. And he stuck to his word. And at the time, I was living at a studio in Northridge. He had a studio called Bushwhack. And I was living there, and Doug Engel was living there, the guy that wrote the song. Well, the keyboard and, you know, the whole story. When Doug came back from a party about 3 a.m, Ron, and Doug was playing, and he told Ron, you know, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, you know, he was all drunk and drinking wine. And so Ron wrote it down as In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. It was supposed to be in the Garden of Eden. And it's true story, you know. And I lived at the studio for a while, and I actually was talking to Nancy, his wife. Ron passed away about 1.5 years ago, and we were texting back and forth, and she had reminded me that I knew I'd worked at. I went over there for a yard sale to help them with the yard sale, and they had all these intricate China stuff and everything we're putting out there, and then I guess I spent the night there, and, you know, stayed a couple days there,
Right.
And so yeah, just the old memories, all kinds of them, you know.
Sure.
It's crazy. But the documentary, it talks a little bit about that, but more about the 80s, and a lot about the 80s, and then for the last 12 years since we really started kicking in again. So, and then, like you said, next year's our 40th anniversary of War No Angels, our first record, and looking forward to that, and shows, and we have some shows coming up. Supposedly, we're waiting for the word to say go. You can announce it in Florida. There should be 4 back-to-back, and I'm hoping that comes through. And if so, that should be it's a big one. It's a big one. But we're just sitting waiting to hear, you know, that we could announce it.
I'll keep my fingers crossed for you.
Please do. We're really hoping for this. This is going to be.
And then somewhere in your 40th anniversary year, I think you probably got to book the whiskey.
We're playing there September 19th.
Of 24. All right.
Of 24. And I asked Betsy from Bitch, the band Bitch, if she would co-headline with us, and she's going to. She accepted. So we are playing together there. We're both playing hour sets at the Whiskey. So, you know, get your tickets and at the Whiskey box office, and we'll have an Eventbrite up on my page and Andros Rock Band Facebook real soon. So yeah, we've already got it booked for next year.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
We're hoping to do Rocklahoma, and if we can get that, then we'll play all the way to the Whiskey after Rocklahoma, and that's kind of what we're looking at right now.
Well, if that works out, maybe you can get something up by me in Sacramento on the way down.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. So you're in Sacramento now?
Yeah.
You were from Chicago, I think I read.
Yes, definitely Chicago. Born and raised, and loved it, but I had to move out here because my wife's job changed and it required us to come out this way. So
Gotcha.
I've been out here a couple of years now, actually.
We were just there about a month ago, and we played the Forge.
Oh, in Joliet.
Yeah, in Joliet.
Yeah. How was that for you?
Oh, it was a great venue. Tim Binder was there. I'm not sure if you know Tim Binder.
Yeah, not personally, but we communicate via electronic methods.
Okay. Yeah, electronic. Yeah. Tim's a great guy. He showed up. He was there. That was really he's going to be in the documentary, and we've already got his filmed. And yeah, Betsy, we sent over her. So we're waiting on a few other good ones at the moment. And yeah.
Well, I would imagine there's a lot of people that you could have be part of this, you know, especially if it's heavily influenced by the Sunset Strip stuff of the 80s, especially.
Yeah. I've been trying to get in touch with a few people. Some of them are a little hard to reach and get in touch with, you know, and I talked about Steven and the Boys and Raising Hell on the Sunset Strip. And it's a true story. And we're playing the Troubadour, and they were all standing not exactly in front of me, but like behind the tables where you used to sit, and they were all right there. And it's not really a real big place. I mean, it's maybe 10 feet down. I mean, it's like not hard to see them. And they're standing there making the sign of the cross with their fingers. And at the time, my mom was just murdered. I was 19. So
I remember you telling me that story. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got through that. And so I kind of got into, you know, Satan, witchcraft, if you will, whatever have you, the dark side. And I was really pissed off at you know, the other side. And there were, you know, people knew it, you know, and I'm not sure if that's why they did that. I'm really not sure why, but that's my guess. You know, I don't know. I don't care, but it's something I just will never forget. You got everybody, and I think it was the whole band, if I remember correctly. And in fact, Dave, one night, our singer, got in a real bad altercation with the drummer. And Dave back then, Dave Rodman was a big boy, right? And he didn't put up with no shit at all. And he just clocked him, man. He ended up going to jail that night because of it. Something Bobby said. Yeah, it's crazy.
That was at the Troubadour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Troubadour. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, so I figured I'd throw that line in there. And I got Nikki and the crew, you know. Dee Dee was booking the bands back then. Dee Dee Kill. You know, and she booked Guns N' Roses. She booked Motley. Was booking all the bands, and we're waiting for hers as well. We're hoping that she said she was going to do it. She said she was going to put the original backdrop of the whiskey behind her, and I have no reason to believe that she won't. We're good friends on Facebook, and you know, we're just kind of waiting for her clip as well for the documentary. So I hope that comes through. That'll be a good one. That'll be a real good one. Yeah, that'll mean a lot. So, yeah.
And then overall, the documentary, I mean, Sunset Strip and everything, but also kind of the evolution of Angelus too, I guess, right? Yeah,
it's a guy like I said, Tim Binder, which has been doing radio for us for 4 years now, 3-4 years, and then you know, all the way it's going to talk about all the way from you know. Yeah, the last 12 years is when it kind of we put out an album, No Limits, in '98, but it wasn't a real big pop. It's like that's when rock was really just starting to die out, real bad. I mean, it was really '89, and this was '98. And we're trying to. Page Plant put out a record, and Van Halen put out the one with that Sharon, Gary Sharon, I guess his name is.
Van Halen 3, yeah.
And you know, it's like our album was really good. It was a good record, and it was we had Brian LaBeouf on vocals and John Merritt on drums, and I don't know. It's like it just wasn't rock wasn't happening then. It was really a weird time and space. You know, it was. I think it's really came back since then. I think it's taken on a life of its own, and now it's like it seems to be getting bigger again or something. Or is it just all the end of the tour things going on? I'm not sure, but it seems to be doing okay. I mean, the last Rockahoma was packed, right?
Right.
It was packed.
Yeah, and we have that Aftershock Festival here in Sacramento, and you know. It was just at the end of September. I did not make it, but from what I understand, it was, you know, filled out every night. A lot of people. So, and I'm seeing younger people creating guitar-based rock again. Which you didn't see for a long time.
Right.
So I do feel like there is this, a lot of people call it the new wave of classic rock or a new wave of classic rock revival. You know, I've heard those terms getting used happening now. And I think it's true. And doing this show, it's been kind of interesting because when I started doing it, I was just playing music that I love, which is still what I do, except I didn't know about all these new bands. And I'd find a few that I liked on my own. And then as people started finding out about the show, I'd have different bands and record companies and stuff sending me material.
Right.
I'd listen, and I'm like, man, this is awesome. This is, it's guitar based, real singing, real instrument music again. And
Right.
as the years have gone by, the last few, I'm finding that a lot of these musicians that I'm getting the music from, they're young people. So
Right.
maybe there's finally a backlash to all this computer generated music,
A lot of things come around,
Mhm.
and that would be really great. I mean, I don't know if I want bell bottoms to come back around, but
I can live
everything
without that.
Connie's raising her hand. Yeah. But yeah, Doug Ellison from Snow is also another one that sent us a clip for the documentary. So that's really pretty damn cool. He's a great guy, a great friend, and a really good human being. And we played with them back at the Starwood 2017, I believe it was, and we had a great time, really good time. It was with Carlos Cavazo and Doug Ellison, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, if I have anything to do with it, I'm trying. I'm still throwing out the guitar rock, And this new one I got, like I said, it's got some pretty cool riffs in it. It's actually got like a verse, then it's got like a bridge, and then it's got like another verse. It's like got really, in a way, it's got two verses. So it's pretty cool. It took a lot of lyrics. That's why I spent so much time. I'm just like, what am I going to do with this thing? It's a lot different than any of the stuff we've got right now. Crimes. I mean, it's not like anything. But that's the way I've always. In my opinion, my writing is always, nothing really sounds the same. I don't like it when bands put out a record and you hear one song, you've heard them all.
Mhm.
And I don't feel it's that way with us or me. I've always, have taken pride in variety and making sure everything has its own kind of thing and difference, But yeah, I love the guitar driven rock. I don't know if I'm all into the real speed guitar playing. Is the what do they call it now? Like riffs or
Writing and
the it was like, okay, you know what? I mean, like Mick Mars, I saw he did an interview and he was saying that he wants people when they walk out or listen to a song, they could hum the guitar solo as well.
Mhm.
And I kind of like that. I'm not saying you do it in every song, but it's a good thing. Signature leads,
Right.
like Take It on the Run from REO Speedwagon. We played with Gary. Gary actually played with Angelus 3 times. Gary Richrath at 3 shows, and they were for Make-A-Wish. And he came, and the first year, this is like probably 2003, 4, 5, something like that, somewhere around that era. And the first time he showed up, it was at a small sports bar called Azars in Newbury Park in California. And we played Take It on the Run the first year. Then the second year, it was 2 songs. Take It on the Run, then it was Riding the Storm Out.
Yeah.
And then the third year, it was 3 songs. We added a blues. We did Take It and Riding the Storm Out, and then we did a blues. And Gary actually let me play leads. I brought my Marshall because I knew he was coming, an extra Marshall for him. And at that time, I was using Marshalls. Now I use EVH. I really like EVH heads. I got a 50 and 100 watt. But he looked at me, and I said, let's just do a blues and A. And so we're doing a blues and A, and he's playing leads, and I'm just playing rhythm. And he stops and he points at me, and it's like, me? You want me to, So then we traded off back and forth, and it's going to be in there as well. It lasted about 15 minutes, and
Nice.
it was a lot of fun. And it's like a pinch me moment, to think that, I was playing leads while Gary Richrath was playing rhythm. it's like that's just like, I don't know, it's freaky, it's like something that you never. I mean, my God, back in the day, Riding the Storm Out, when it came on the radio, it was a big song.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it was huge, and I mean, wow, and he was such a nice guy too. He's passed. I'm sure you know as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah. When you mentioned, guitar melodies and stuff stay in your head. I mean, Gary was a very melodious sound.
Very much so.
There was definitely a lot of melodies, even within the solos, but especially the breaks in and out too.
Take It on the Run. I mean, it's like, it was so funny. It was, I don't know if it was the first time or second or third. Like, I honestly don't remember. But he was late, and we didn't think he was going to show up.
Third time.
What? Third time. So we said, you know what? We're just going to play the song. And so I just finished the lead guitar solo, and this girl that was our bass player's wife and was running the show that night, Lori, came up on stage and said, hey, stop. You guys stop. So we cut the thing, and there comes Gary on the side of the stage. So we had to play. First thing he said to me was, oh, great solo. Those were his words. And I'm like, thanks. Yeah, you're right. Great solo, bro. And that's a signature lead, that's a great lead solo.
Yeah.
That's a great solo. And it's like, and then we obviously we started the song from the beginning but yeah.
Another look to Gary
funny when you
Richrath.
look back at stuff, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you bringing up Gary Richrath just gets my head going because, he doesn't come up often when you talk about guitar players, right? You talk about Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, Gary Moore, those kind of guys a lot. Gary Richrath doesn't come up as often, but when you really think about his body of work too, I mean, he really was a really good guitar player. And I was telling this story, I'm thinking about some of his songs, and I'm hearing Golden Country in my head right now.
Golden Country, correct.
And it has some excellent guitar work in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's cool that you get to play with him.
He was a classic guy and really nice guy. I mean, just so down to earth, and it's really sad. His health got bad and all that. But life is such as life. I mean, we none of us know what's around the corner. That Green Reaper, man, you keep going, well, looking behind you, this friend's gone, that friend's gone, that friend's gone. It's like, holy crap, it's crazy, but
it is crazy.
That's what one of my next songs should be about, is running from the Reaper.
Yeah. Okay.
Somebody might steal that though before I get a chance. I got to get on it, running from the Reaper.
I'm not putting this interview out till probably Wednesday, so you got between now and Wednesday to get that written before somebody.
You got it. It'll be done.
I'll try to come up with some lyrics for you too.
Hey, you know what? I really do. I mean, this is like my first adventures into writing lyrics and to the songs. And like On My Way was a remake of something we did on No Limits, and it was slow. Goodbye. It was called Goodbye, and now it's called On My Way, because Goodbye to me had a negative sound to it, and I wanted something upbeat and positive for my first. Other than Running Like an Outlaw, it was it was my second song I did as a singer, and I made it upbeat. If you listen, it was actually a ballad. It's real slow ballad picking, and I just completely rearranged it, brought it up, sped it up, and pumped it out. And I love it. I think it turned out really great. If you ever get a chance to listen to it, the slow version, the guy was a great singer and all that, but he was like every other lead singer, man. I mean, they're really hard to deal with. James Wadman, but he was just a party animal. Our first singer, we were together 15 years, man. We started in Sunland, Tahunga, and backyard parties and Tahunga High School, and we were in a band called Avant Garde, then English, and then it came up to Angeles, and he was driving to the Angeles Crest Forest, and a girl that was with him said, "Hey, that's what you should call your band." He came back to the rehearsal. We're rehearsing in a garage in North Hollywood, and he goes, "Hey, I got a name for our band, Angeles, and after Angeles National Florist." And this girl was driving, So I said, "Yeah, why not? Sounds good to me." And that's all there was to our name, and it's stuck ever since. And yeah,
That's
crazy. But Dave was a wild guy. He was a great guy. In fact, he's a domain minister now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's up in Fraser Park in California.
Oh, is that wild?
Yeah, and we wrote a song in '08, and I brought in a saxophone, and the lyrics were, "I've been two men in a lifetime," and that's what the song's about. And him being, just two different. He's lived two lives, basically, from the rock and roll lifestyle to the, the way it is,
Right.
being a preacher. And that's not my thing. I'm not like I was by any means, but I'm not really sure what's out there. I think as long as you're, I believe in like karma, and if you're good to others, treat people the way you want to be treated.
For
Be
sure.
good to people, and good should return. Don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat. Just try and be straight up, be straightforward, and don't bullshit. Don't fuck people over, if you will. And that's it. Live life, like you would like to, and treat people the way you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I believe in. And
Yeah,
no one knows what's hereafter.
Mm-hmm. Life's too short to be mean to each other anyway,
Yeah, it is.
But also, you don't know what's after here, whether you believe in God and heaven and hell and all that stuff, or you don't.
Yeah.
The fact is, none of us really know for sure. And
No.
possibly we're never going to know, or we're not going to know until we die. So I always feel like, well, if any of this stuff's true, I rather prep my life that when if St. Peter's Gates is a thing, that opens up for me, right?
Yes.
Rather play it safe that I'm going to get in there than say, and it is true and I don't get in there,
Agreed. Yes. So. And I believe in ghosts. I really do. There's so many. That's why that song is so means so much to me. Is crimes of insanity. It's about ghosts, and they can hear you, and that's what I'm saying in there is they can hear you, and I believe they can, and they'll you can talk to them and they'll listen. And I really have had a lot of experiences, and I don't want to get into that too much tonight, but with my brother coming up here and driving along, picking him up from the airport, and our car and the airplane they were just parallel, and the plane was 25 minutes early, and we were like 25 minutes early, and it's like my mom was born in Cleveland, Ohio, or Euclid, which is like 60 miles from here. So I left from here. Derek, my brother, left from Tucson, and we ended up. The plane was 25 minutes early. It was 7:05. It was supposed to be at 7:30, and we ended up just being neck and neck, right there, boom, and just little things like that, And then Scott, a roadie that I had for many years, Scott Ellison, came, got this, put out a Facebook message on a Saturday night, and we're reading it Sunday morning, just going, "Oh, Scott, what do you?" He was like he would get really depressed. He had really bad mood swings, and he would either be happy or he could get real depressed about stuff. Mm-hmm. And we thought it was maybe just another one of his things, but come to find out, John Merritt, our drummer at the time, and he was on War No Angels. John was on every song one way or another for like the last pretty much 8 albums. You know, one song and Holly Fenton, and but anyways, we rehearsed Thursday with John Merritt and Angelus. Friday, he was going home from work. We found out Tuesday. Everyone's trying to find this guy. No one could find him. Scott puts out this thing that he saw a ghost, and that John Merritt had came into his camper. His cats were going crazy. All this stuff's going on, and that's what he posted on Facebook. And this guy, it was John Merritt, and long hair, looked just like him, and his cats were going crazy, and he came to visit him. And we didn't know about it at then. And then Monday, we're getting calls from people. Have you seen John Merritt? People that he was doing handyman work for in the Hollywood Hills. And we're going, no. So we went to his house. Everything was still there except his van. And we left notes everywhere. And then Tuesday, we called the police. They came over. They took a report. And they said, have you called the county morgue? And, no. And so my wife went in and did it. And he was there.
Oh, my God.
So John Merritt went to Scott's, was living in a trailer. I had an acre in LA, and it was in the back, and that's where he stayed. And it was Saturday night. He showed up there, and there was another encounter. I'm not going to get into that, but it was pretty interesting thing. I've had 3 or 4 really kind of very true experiences with whatever you want to call them, ghost or supernatural, or a lot of encounters, bro. And it's pretty crazy, pretty cool, actually. It's really cool in a way.
Yeah, in a way, I guess it would be. I mean, I can see why you'd be a believer. I've always been on the fence with it. My grandmother also believed in that and swore that my grandfather came and visited her on many different occasions.
Yeah.
I'd be spending the night at her house or whatever, and I'd get up the next day and she'd be like, oh, Raffaello, Sam came to visit me, which was her husband. And I'm like, oh, really? And she 100% was like, nope, it's not my imagination. It's real. Ghosts exist.
Oh, it is.
It's real.
It is.
So she told me that, but
it's honestly, I mean, I had another one. I was living in an apartment with a guy named Greg after I got my divorce, and he ended up being our singer for a couple of albums that I don't talk about much, but a lot of great songs came from me and him that we've done over the years. But I had to take over this guy that was he was the main guy for the apartment building, or the apartment, and his room, he committed suicide. And I was the new guy, so in the house. So I ended up living in his room, and I went to his bedroom, and it's like for about the first 2 weeks, I really couldn't shut the door. It was kind of creepy. He died in his room above the cross that I used in the videos, and that's the actual cross, by the way, that he had in his room that I used in the in Crimes and Insanity video, and Band Plays On. So I put it in here, different little spots, but
right.
So it means a lot. It's got a lot of meaning. And I would sit there and I'd feel this cold soul go through my body. Mm-hmm. And Greg goes, hey, just go talk to him, have a talk, sit down. And I went in the room and talked to him for about half an hour and never felt his presence again.
Interesting.
I said, hey, bro, you're welcome to stay here. You don't cuss him out and shit. I just said, you're welcome to stay here. This is your house, still your room, still your place. You can come here, bring your dead friends and party. I don't care. Come on over, man. Just don't scare me. That's all.
And don't take me to your world with you either. I want to stay in this.
Yeah, don't take me to your world, but don't do that. But anyways, we just got done the three new songs, and we got a 4th one on its way. It's in the bag, the music's all done. I'm going to do some guitar licks and lay down my vocals. I believe it's next Thursday, Connie. Yeah. And next Thursday. And, it's really a pretty cool one. And then Then there'll be another one. Then we're going to put them all onto from Running Like an Outlaw, On My Way, all the new songs. There'll be 10 songs with me singing on them. So
nice.
And I'm not sure what we're going to call the record yet. That it's kind of up in the air, but and I was listening to John 5, and he's basically doing the same thing, doing a song, releasing singles, and then when he gets enough for a record, he puts them on a CD. And I was like, well, listening to him, I'm going, Connie, are you hearing this? Because that's exactly what it wasn't planned. It's just how it's turning out. I'm going, well, I almost got enough now to put them on a CD. And it'll be my first full CD with me singing on, which I'm looking forward to that a lot.
And just to clarify too, so because with the long history of Angelus, obviously there's been a lot of people that have been part of the band at one time or another, but the current incarnation is you're a 3-piece band at this point in time, and you're the guitar player and the lead vocalist.
Yes. Yeah. And it's going to stay that way. I mean, I've had a few of our singers, ask me if I want them to come back, and I'm like, no, I wouldn't think of it. It's just you have another personality you have to deal with on the bus, going to places. The less people, it's a marriage. A band's a marriage. And the more people you're married, imagine being married to 4 or 5 people at one time. It's rough, it's rough. And
it is rough. And keeping everybody on the same page and the same work ethic. And
it is. And I don't have to deal with any of that. I write the songs. I show them to the guys, and that's it. I kind of give them my suggestions. They might throw in a few things and help with arrangement. And Bill Wildman is a new bass player, a great guy, lives over in Salem, Ohio. Actually, that's where the guy Alan Freed that he named that came up with the name rock and roll. Lived in that's where he lived in Salem. And we got a show there November 17th, by the way. Our first show in Salem.
It's just a couple weeks away.
Yeah, a couple weeks. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. Was it odd for you at first though, being that you were always the guitar player role and you had somebody else to be that front man singer role? Was it strange for you at first to kind of step into that arena too?
I didn't think it would be, because I've always been an entertainer. And I've always stepped up to the microphone, and I've always talked during shows. I mean, I've always, talked in the shows. Sometimes more than the singers have, to be honest. So I didn't think it would be, but it ended up being. So I was really nervous for the first 5 shows, 6 shows. And I think it was our last one. We're in Texas, and it was the last of 3 shows. It was at BFE in Houston, and it just seemed to all come together. It just finally, for the first time, in every show since then, I feel I know I can do the job now,
right?
And that is was a really big concern, whether I can do the job. It's Can I fulfill the position? And the last shows I've been having to sit down because of my knee, and it's getting better. I'm walking now.
Good.
But it just seemed like every time we'd go out to do another batch of shows, I'd hit my knee the wrong way or something, and I'd put me back in a wheelchair for, or have to sit down for the shows. And but I'm getting the grasp of it now, if you will. It's a whole different nature. I thought it would be easier than it was. I thought but it's not. 6 shows isn't really that bad. And like we just played with Mike Tramp from White Lion in Michigan at
that's right. I saw that on Facebook. Yeah.
And that was a great show. It was a lot of fun. And feel like I could talk to the people now. I'm still nervous. I always get nervous. That's never going to go away. And
Right.
I don't want it to go away because that's what drives me to get on stage. And,
Sure.
it's like I literally lay in bed. That's why I love the motorhome. I'll lay in bed till an hour before a show. And then I get up and get my clothes on and get ready and start practicing, warming up before I know if the hour's over. And then, it's time to go out there.
Right.
And that's the way I just I get real nervous, before I go out there. And I always have my whole life, except when I was younger. I don't remember it,
Mhm.
and when you're a kid, I don't think things bother you as much.
Right.
When you're younger, and in your 20s, you're just like, okay. But yeah, it's I love it though. I love it. I love singing now. I wouldn't give it up for the world. I love playing the guitar and talking to the people, and it's like I feel like I could just take them, hold them, put them in my hands, and rock them. And that's what I want to do, is just give them a fucking friggin' good time. That's my job, is that make sure they know they've been at a show. And if I don't do that, then I haven't accomplished what they're to do. And
based on a lot of the comments that I've seen on your Facebook page from people that have seen shows recently, I think you're hitting the mark 100%.
Well, thank you. I'm hoping for that, and I'm hoping that's what I'm doing. And I love being an entertainer, and I love giving the people we don't do the flames. I've never really done, years ago, there was a point where we had some fire and smoke and flames, whatever. But in BFE, they had some smoke. But overall, it's like we've never been a show band, like as far as effects,
Right.
More, when I was younger, it was more rolling around, getting on my knees. That's why I can't walk now. I mean, every solo, I'd go down on my knees. I mean, literally, Ralph, bam. And, you've had a few drinks and you're like, feeling like, on top of the world. And I would go down and, nobody was there to tell me that those knees are they're not as strong as that floor. You're hitting a hardwood floor.
Right.
There was no padding. And I did it for years. And that's caught up with me. And that's I know that's what it is. I mean, I went down on my knees for solos for my entire lifetime since I've been playing.
Yeah.
And I love doing that, but
Well, your body, not so much.
No, that's over. So be it,
A good lesson for the young musicians. Don't do that too often.
Yeah, I can't do that now. I can't do that, but
it's all right.
But yeah, I love your Zeppelin shirt, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was listening to that new Beatles song.
Yeah, I listened to it a couple of times.
I ran out of time because, we had to do this, but I'm going to get back to it when we're done, and I'm going to check that out. I think it's called Now and Then or something like that.
That's it, yeah.
Do you remember the name?
No, that's right. It is.
What's that?
You have the name right. It is called Now and Then.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was. Just listen to it again. For me, it was just bittersweet because, I've always, hard rock kind, your kind of music that you play and stuff has always been my main music. But so I've got those bands that I love, but then the Beatles have always just kind of been their own thing.
Oh yeah.
And I love the Beatles. And when I heard that song yesterday morning, I was like, oh man, it actually gave me chills. Not because it's necessarily the greatest song, because it probably is not really, but hearing John's voice singing something new, and there's just always been, to me, I just hear such an emotional connection of his soul and what comes out of his throat. And so to hear something new with his singing on it that I haven't heard before was kind of a bittersweet thing. Like I love hearing it, love hearing his voice. And that made me sad at the same time, thinking about what happened to him back in 1980 and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely worth listening to all the way through. And then there's a little documentary type clip about the making of it too.
Okay.
It's on YouTube. I'd say check that out. Paul and Ringo are in it, and Martin's son, George Martin's son's in it, and pretty interesting that they have some type of technology that they're able to take this cassette demo and through whatever magic they've got in their studio, we're able to isolate his vocal to bring it out. Because in the original demo, it's a demo. So he's playing a cassette recorder. So the piano would bury his voice and stuff like that. You couldn't hear everything. And so the story that's in that documentary that you'll see, it's pretty interesting that when they did that Free as a Bird thing back in the mid 90s when George Harrison was still alive, apparently they tried to do something with that song, and at the time just felt they couldn't get it because John's voice was just an uneven recording and his voice got buried too much. So anyway, you fast forward to today's magic, and somehow they're able to take a cassette demo and isolate his vocal off of a cassette tape and get it into like a multi-track situation.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, whether you like the song or not, because I know I have friends that were kind of mixed yesterday, some liking it, some saying, I wouldn't want if somebody's just discovering the Beatles, I'd hate for this to be the first thing they hear. But whether you like the song or not, if you were a Beatles fan, you cannot not be touched by hearing John singing something you haven't heard before. And
then, Paul coming in with the harmonies.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That just got me. I mean, the harmonies that Paul came in with were just it was really cool.
Yeah.
And then I had to shut it off because I was running out of time. I had to get this set up. But
well, when we hang up in a little bit, you go check it out. In fact, it's a funny little cartoon that I saw one of my friends put on Facebook yesterday. It made me laugh too, talking about the new Beatles single, but also the Rolling Stones, shockingly, releasing a new album, right?
Oh my God, 80 years old and they're rocking.
Unbelievable.
Is that crazy? And that's a good song. Angry is a good song.
It is. Even if it is perhaps a little bit helped by a computer, it's still a good song. I agree. It doesn't quite have this Stones sloppy swagger that we all fell in love with. It's a little bit clean sounding, but still, I like it. And I just say much respect if you can do that at the age of
at 80 years old, if they can do that and go to the interviews they're doing and doing all this stuff, and they got to be having so much fun right now. And they're 80 years old and they're still living their dream.
Yeah.
They're still living their dream. I saw him, I think it was on Jimmy Fallon, Keith Richards. And he played Jumpin' Jack Flash. And I think it was Jimmy. I'm not really into TV.
One of the late night talk shows. Yeah.
Yeah. And Jimmy, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know but anyways, and Keith, and it's like, he was just like talking about all kinds of things, like, their first club that they played at and the first time they ever played and nobody was there and they couldn't get even a booking. They could barely get a show, and just things that were just like, were just so cool to hear, it's just like, wow. And he's just reminiscing and knowing that, like, 60 years later, if I'm right, it's 60 years, right?
Oh gosh, yeah, for sure.
I mean,
sure.
It's like just literally unimaginable. I mean, and Jagger, and they went and played that small club the other night with, I think, I don't know where it was at, but they played some small club about 5 days ago. Do you know where that was at?
I didn't hear about that, actually. I didn't know they did a recent live performance.
Yeah, they did. It was a little small club somewhere. And he said, hey, that's where a band gets back, really unites. And it's true. Small clubs are good for that. And before you go play big arenas, it's nice to do a little club. And like Guns N' Roses, before one of their tours, when Axl broke or sprained his ankle at the Troubadour, probably 7 years ago now, I believe. When was that last tour of Guns N' Roses?
It sounds about right. I remember the ankle situation, maybe 5 years ago. But yeah, that sounds about right.
And he did that at the Troubadour. And, and my point is they went and played a small club before they did their thing. And like Kiss did the same thing, I think, at the Whiskey. Mm-hmm. They think they started their tour there. And I don't know. Van Halen's gone back to the Whiskey and done things. And big bands like to just go back and do a little small club where things start, and and I don't know. I can't imagine. I mean, I've never been I've never been in a huge band. I've never made it, and I'm still trying. And I can't imagine, what it must feel like. And I've always wondered that dream, being able to go to any city and have 20,000 people there knowing your songs and singing them. It's got to be just one of the main reasons I've done this my whole life, is wondering what it would be like, and playing your own songs and everyone knowing them and singing them. And it's, I don't know if I'll ever see it or not, but you know what? Well, I haven't lost until you quit. I haven't quit yet, so I still haven't lost.
Exactly.
I can be called other things, but I haven't lost,
Exactly. And to me, you're just your fire is just starting, I mean, with the last album, Running Like an Outlaw, a lot happened. And I remember us talking about that, how you felt, that, wow, who would have thought at this juncture now something's blowing up, you're hitting all those charts and everything with that record. So God only knows what'll happen when this next one comes out,
Yeah.
And I think, like, even myself, you were a new band for me, right? So there's still new people discovering what is Angelus, right?
Angelus,
and like we said, I do kind of believe that there's an interest in this kind of music again. So, who knows? I mean, you might not be 20 years old anymore, but at the same time, you're a baby, kind of. You're getting this new trajectory, which I think is amazing. I love it, and that's one of the things I've noted about you. Every time I hear one of the new songs coming my way, is, man, these songs, you still got the fire, and you hear that in the music. And when you're talking about, your singing and stuff too, like. Even the track I played last week, I can just hear, like, it's coming from here. And that is just really cool, because to me, you're firing on all cylinders, and you still have that excitement that that you probably had when you were 19 years old and stuff, and I just think that's great. That's kind of how I am too. I mean, I'm always 18 on the inside. It's just my reflection in the mirror reminds me I'm not 18 anymore, but I still am just as passionate. Now, I never became a player, but I've always been a huge music fan, and that passion's never left me. And and then when I was a DJ, I loved doing that job. It just didn't pay a lot, but I was glad that we were able to play the bands that we played. And back in those days, we could play what we wanted to play, which was great. And then I got out of it and didn't do anything, but I kept having people asking me, hey, it would be great if you were on the radio again. Well, radio's not going to let me do what I did. And that's why I decided to do the podcast, because I still have a love of helping musicians spread the word about their music. And it was frustrating for me that legacy artists can't get new music played, only their songs that were hits, and then new bands forget about it unless you got couple $1 million in payola or something. You're not getting on the radio with a new band.
No, that's what we're not doing. Right now, we're not doing we're doing a kind of a small radio campaign with Tim, but it's like $4,000 to do a radio campaign, and it's just to start, and to do a real one, it's $100,000, and 30 and then 60 and then 90 and then I was talking to one promoter, the big guy, and he was doing Woofy, and he was up to $103,000 at that time in Woofy's first single.
And how do you recoup that?
That's insane.
It is. It's so hard, but
yeah.
But that's why I do this, because I still just have that passion for
that love. Yeah. Well, and that's I'm so glad we still have you doing this. I really, you're a great guy, and seem like a great human being, and
I feel the same about you.
And you're, it's great that you're still doing it, and you're still rocking, and you're still sharing with everybody, and your passion, and you're keeping it alive. And we all appreciate that, because without you, we can't be anything either. And it help, every little bit helps. And
the music business today, Dale, all I think about all the time is the saying about raising a child, that it takes a village. Now it's getting your music out there. It takes a village. So, but no, I'm glad you're still doing it too. And that's what I see. I still see that enthusiasm, and I hear it in your music.
Well, it comes from the heart. It comes from right here, man.
I can tell. And I see all your comments that you do on Facebook. I can tell how appreciative you are of everybody that checks you out, which I think is wonderful.
I appreciate it all.
Whether you ever are playing in front of 120,000 people, I wouldn't worry about that at that point. Just keep doing what's in your heart, and you'll be fine.
Okay. Thank you, brother. And thank you for having me on.
No problem.
You have a fantastic Friday night.
You too, my friend. And as we wrap this up, I just want to remind everybody, Angelus does have a website, angelusband.com.
Yeah.
Of course, social media. Dale's very active, especially on Facebook. A lot of dates coming up in 2014 as well. I see the Florida dates are on your website already. The whiskey that we discussed is on your website. I pulled that up to take a look. A lot of new music, and then stick around. I'm going to shut up, and Dale and I are going to say goodbye, but you guys stick around, because we're going to crank out some Angelus music too. If you haven't caught any of it in our music shows, or even if you have, check them out again. And I think, Dale, I'm going to go into Crimes of Insanity, since we talked a lot about that song. So you guys, coming up right now is Crimes of Insanity from Angelus, and then I'm going to throw Just Do It and Raising Hell in as well. You probably have heard these on our weekly shows, but I'm going to add those to the end here too. So stick around for some kick-ass rock and roll from Angelus. Dale, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you for having me. You have a great night.
You too, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Call '80s were really wild on the Sunset Strip.
Yeah, man. I don't know about all that because I was in grade school back then. What was it like?
Oh, it was hell, man. It was fucking awesome.
Why don't you tell us what it was like then?
All right.